Myo-Reps versus overcoming isometrics. Which is better for improving neuromuscular activation or that coveted mind-muscle connection? It's a question I got through the RDP mailbag the other day. And it's a very good one because, after all, at the end of the day, you can only train a muscle to the degree you can engage it. And the biggest thing that holds a lot of people back in their training is a lack of that mind-muscle connection. Now, full disclosure, though, is I never really even heard of Myo-Reps or Myo-Reps or whatever they're calling it. So my opinion here really isn't all that valid, because as I always say, an opinion that's not based on experience is just a guess. So yes, I am guessing about what I think it would be like compared to isometrics, so take that for what it's worth. First off, the things that I like about the Myo-Reps is, one, we're working with a relatively low level of resistance. This is a very good thing for improving that mind-muscle connection, because typically when we get heavier levels of resistance and intensity, we're more reinforcing whatever habitual muscle patterns you already have. It's a case of practice doesn't make perfect, it just makes more permanent, and that can be more permanent whether it's good or bad. You're typically taking that lighter weight and you're using a high number of repetitions, relatively high number of reps, for the first set, usually about 12 to 30 is some of the parameters I saw online, and you're taking it near muscular failure. After that, you do several back-off sets where you're about 3 to 5, sometimes I've seen 8 repetitions where you're using the same load, but you're just kind of really effectively practicing how well you can engage the muscle until your muscle's pretty well good and cooked. And this follows a lot of standard protocols where the program is all about engaging the muscle to a high degree and creating a lot of kind of neuromuscular damage, a lot of muscular fatigue, which in theory can further spark more hypertrophy. So you've got good activation, good fatigue, sparking hypertrophy, good way to maybe save a little bit on the joints, lots to like there. But the two things to consider, well, maybe not so good, is one is taking things to that high degree of fatigue close to failure. The reason why I'm not a big fan of this is because whenever I practice activation exercises, it's like a warm-up, but I still have a lot of heavy work I'm going to be doing later in the workout, like with grind-style calisthenics. And whenever we're taking our muscles to a high degree of fatigue, we're just draining a lot of the potential energy you're going to have for subsequent sets. And the second thing is, because we're using fairly low loads, we're not really working on strength. It's not going to have that much total activation of your motor units within a given period of time. So while this can be a good way to really drive a lot of fatigue in the muscle and improve that activation, it's not the best strength training protocol. And it's because of these concerns that I'll still take the isometric approach with just something like an iso trainer any day. Because one, you don't need to bring your muscles to a very high degree of fatigue. In fact, I usually recommend we don't, especially with the warm-up for grind-style calisthenics. But you can still get a lot of tension in the muscle, so you're developing strength, and you can really improve a lot of that neuromuscular activation, if not even more so, because it's just easier to engage muscles isometrically than it is dynamically. I also personally find that you get a lot more of that coveted irradiation with isometrics. So if I'm doing a bicep curl, yes, I'm focusing on trying to engage my biceps more, but I can also really dial in the tension of my back, my glutes, my abs, my legs, and all of the other associated muscles that can work in synergy to not only help me stay safe and more stable, but also make my biceps work a heck of a lot harder. But at the end of the day, we're talking about two methods. They can both work very well. It's really more about which one is alignment for you and which one do you prefer. If you want to check out more about my overcoming isometric methods for warming up, check out these two workouts where I demonstrate how I use them in a warm-up and then move right on to some much heavier strength training without it being compromised as well. Thank you very much for watching. Be fit and live free.